What's going on, guys? Welcome to your stimulus check update, stimulus package update, and news report for Monday, February 15th. Now, we know that the House and Senate are off this week. They're supposed to be on a recess, but technically the House is still working, or some members of the House are continuing to work because they have to finish up the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. We know they are trying to finish their portion of this bill so that later on this week, the House Budget Committee can combine these sections of the bill and make a full bill that the House can ultimately vote on sometime next week. According to House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, he says that we should be able to vote come Tuesday, that is February 23rd. New reports out this morning do state that the House is all in and they're all on board on passing this $1.9 trillion stimulus package as it stands right now. But they say that they want to separate themselves from Senate Democrats. And you're probably wondering, well, why is this? And the reason is actually pretty simple. The Senate's going to have multiple problems. Now, these aren't going to be huge problems. There can be a simple solution to solve these, but it really comes down to, will they want to sidestep some of these pieces of legislation in order to appease these certain Senate Democrats? Reports out this morning state that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is having problems within his caucus. They say that he has not received word from every single Senate Democrat as to whether or not they will vote for or against this stimulus package when it comes over from the House. Now, I just want to make this very clear. One of the reasons why he's not going to get a lot of upfront commitment is because some people have not seen the bill. Most people have not seen every piece of this bill because it's still being written. So until the entire thing is written, we're not really going to know. Now, the two Senate Democrats that we must keep an eye on, and these are just two of them, there are more as well. The two are Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Remember, these are the two main ones that oppose certain things. Joe Manchin opposes the $1,400 stimulus checks the way they're currently written, and Kyrsten Sinema opposes the $15 federal minimum wage increase. What we are hearing is that everybody in the Senate is curious as to what the final bill will ultimately look like. Some are saying that, yes, it looks good, but there's been times where other bills have looked really good in the beginning, but then as they go through the committees, as they go through the markup phase, they start to pull certain pieces, they add in different verbiage, and then it changes the bill altogether. So until they see the finalized text of this bill, they will not commit one way or the other. And this is making things very difficult for Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer because he's trying to navigate through all of this while being pretty much being new to this position. He's been the Senate Minority Leader for a while. This is his first time taking control of the Senate, and so we're going to see how he does. Some are saying that they do not believe he has it in him to control the Senate when it's split 50-50. So we will see what happens there. The big issues right now have to deal with just two things: a $1,400 stimulus check and the $15 federal minimum wage. Joe Manchin, he does not like the income eligibility for the $1,400 stimulus checks. This is something that he opposed even before they decided to do a budget reconciliation. This is something that he was against from the very beginning. But some say that cutting out, this is coming from Democrats, their point of view, they say that cutting out people who received the first $600 would not fulfill President Biden's promise of $2,000 checks. So if they want to remain in the majority in Congress, then they must pass this with a very similar income eligibility requirement. If they go against this, then they could see problems coming up. And the other big sticking point, as of right now, and this is something that might not even be an issue, but this is also something that the White House is planning to vote against. And I'm going to address this in just a second. But what we are hearing is that right now the biggest sticking point isn't the $1,400 stimulus checks. It's not the additional child tax credits of $3,600 for children 0 to 5 or $3,000 for children between 6 and 17, it's actually the $15 federal minimum wage increase. Many people are stating that it's not right to be putting a requirement on these struggling businesses to increase their payroll when really we should be helping them just survive. So they're saying that if the government is not going to come in and help pay that additional $2.25 that people or small businesses will initially be required to pay to get to that $9.50 requirement of minimum wage, then the government really shouldn't be stepping in at all. Some are currently saying that they are unsure if this will even be acceptable to the Senate parliamentarian. So here's where the White House steps in, and this is where the White House is currently thinking we may not even support this on our own. Here's what we're hearing. According to reports yesterday, the White House may ask Vice President Kamala Harris to vote against the $15 federal minimum wage. And this would happen, they'd only ask Vice President Harris to do this if the parliamentarian rules against the $15 federal minimum wage. Because what we know is that Senate Democrats can overrule the parliamentarian. However, President Biden does not want to do this because what these reports are stating is that for President Biden to come in and ask Democrats to overrule the Senate parliamentarian and to do this on the heels of a budget reconciliation, that would just be devastating. And because Democrats still have to get bipartisan support on other bills. For instance, we still have an infrastructure bill that needs to be negotiated very soon. And many experts say that if Democrats were to overrule the Senate parliamentarian, who is not affiliated with either party, okay? She's not affiliated with either party. So she is just giving her kind of insights and saying, no, this doesn't fit with the budget reconciliation rules. But again, the Senate Democrats could overrule her. And if they do, this could be a big issue. So what we're hearing is that the Senate Democrats may try to overrule the Senate parliamentarian. And it will go to a tie 50-50, and then Kamala Harris will be the tie-breaking vote. But the White House says they may ask Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, to vote against this, which would ultimately kill the talks of a $15 federal minimum wage. They would have to pull that out of the bill, and then we'd see a little bit more of a delay. But if this happens, here's what we are hearing is if a $15 federal minimum wage increase doesn't happen at this point, it will be included in a following package. Maybe not the infrastructure bill, but it's possible that it will. What we are hearing is that Democrats may try to include other pieces of legislation if the $15 federal minimum wage can't be included. For instance, we could see a larger stimulus check than just $1,400. That's the big one. Now, some say that Congress is not looking at the bigger picture, and this is coming from progressives because right now they're saying that the Senate Democrats are saying that they still have to deal with progressives that want to provide more relief. And progressives have been fighting for this $15 federal minimum wage. But what you need to understand is the $15 federal minimum wage is not something that is going to be enacted today and we see $15 wages tomorrow. The $15 minimum wage won't happen until 2025. So it's going to be slowly phased in. But some say that Congress is not looking at the bigger picture and what is really going on in this country. For instance, some say that they're wondering whatever happened to requesting hazard pay for our essential workers that kept this economy running while many states were completely shut down. Well, now groups and cities are taking it upon themselves to provide for their communities. For instance, the United Food and Commercial Workers Union is also demanding expedited vaccine access and more hazard pay for their grocery store workers. They say that they represent roughly 1.3 million workers in the United States, and they say that the other, one or the other has to happen. And when I say this, this report is stating that the United Food and Commercial Workers Union is saying you either need to provide hazard pay for our workers risking their lives for your business, or we need to figure out a way to get these workers vaccinated and get them on that priority list. Because if they're not, and they are constantly out there risking their lives, then they should be compensated in some way. So it's either you get them the vaccine or you give them hazard pay. So this is a very hot topic right now because many cities have, when I say many, there's a handful of cities that have started to pay hazard pay to their employees. For example, I stated last week, Seattle, Washington, Burien, Washington, Long Beach, California, San Jose, California, and also Oakland, California, all passed laws to provide grocery store workers with a hourly hazard pay increase of anywhere from $3 to $5 per hour. Well, the federal government and even states have not mandated that we need to require or they need to pay hazard pay at this time. But now, even though the cities have passed these laws, some larger grocery store chains are actually suing cities like Oakland and Seattle, saying that we should not be required to pay hazard pay because that should be something that comes from above. That should be something that comes from the state or the federal government, not from individual cities. And the reason I wanted to share this report with you guys, and I want to just kind of interject here because things could get really messy. And if things get really messy, that's when we're going to see maybe the counties, because King County is planning on, as of today, planning on moving forward with a hazard pay requirement of their own. So it wouldn't just be Seattle, Washington, it would be all of King County. But if things start to get really messy and we start to see lawsuits and employees just stop working and businesses shutting down because they don't have any employees there to work, what we could see is governors step in and provide a little bit more assistance. We could see governors step in and possibly, jump in and say, okay, we're going to provide your grocery store workers with the vaccines necessary so that you do not have to pay hazard pay. Or we could jump in and say, all right, you have to pay hazard pay because we're going to, allocate these vaccines to this group of people and not your workers. So we'll see what happens there. But this might mean that more grocery store workers will get their vaccines faster, or it could mean the cost of doing business for that grocery store is going to be, you need to pay $3, $4, maybe $5 more per hour. So now let's address the rental assistance programs out there. First, we're starting to see these programs become more available. However, some are still trying to get their systems up and running. We will have a lot more that are going to be up and running very soon. But as of right now, some cities and counties are still working on this. So we are starting to see some things come through. For instance, Miami, they will cover an entire year's worth of rent and utilities for struggling renters. They don't give the exact details of how they're going to do this, but they say you can get up to $24,000 in assistance per person. This program is not yet accepting applications at this time, but they said they will open up very soon. The state of Texas, they have new assistance programs as well. The funds available right now are only going to be used to pay back rent and utilities. They say you can apply this for up to 3 months of back rent at this time, and then once those 3 months have been paid and we can pretty much move forward, then you can reapply. You're going to be going to the back of the line, and then if they have more funding, you could potentially get 3 months more. And so they're saying that it's just going to be 3 months at a time, but you can get up to 1 year of assistance. So again, you can apply for this right now, but there's other states that you are currently waiting on. For instance, Alabama. Alabama is still putting their assistance program together as we speak. They stated that they are a little bit behind, but they plan on being able to accept applications starting March 1st at 8 a.m. We also know California is pushing forward with their own rental assistance program as well. The state will pay up to 80% of your back rent. They will not pay utilities though. And this is only going to happen if the landlord will forgive the other 20%. If the landlord is going to require the tenant to pay the other 20%, then the state will not interject and will not pay any of the assistance. The eviction moratorium in California has also been extended to June 30th, 2021, which could ultimately be, pointless it might not really even be a thing, because if the federal government steps in and has an eviction moratorium through September 30th, then the June 30th one doesn't really matter. As of right now, the state won't help pay for utilities, but individual cities and counties will. So you may have to apply in through multiple programs in order to get everything covered. In other news, the IRS states that if you are missing either your first or second stimulus checks, that $1,200 or $600 stimulus check, that you must file your 2021 tax return, or else there's no way you can receive those checks. And on COVID, the United States reported 63,850 new cases yesterday. That is a new low for us. They also reported 1,080 deaths. This means we have a rolling 7-day average of 91,130 cases. Some experts are saying that this is not due to the vaccine getting implemented. This is actually due to the United States having people travel less. They are staying outside of people's homes. They are masking up, and they are washing their hands. They also say the United States has only seen 4.2% of people get vaccinated so far, as far as the 2 doses, and about 12% at least have 1 dose. So experts predict we will see a dramatic shift in the numbers for COVID sometime in April, and things will look completely different. So that will be very good, and I'll be excited to see what happens there. So that's what we know right now regarding the stimulus checks, the stimulus package, hazard pay, renter's assistance, and also COVID. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.